Hello and welcome to the channel. Smoke that like button and let's get into it. The F4F Wildcat. The Grumman F4F Wildcat is an American carrier-based fighter aircraft that entered service in 1940 with the United States Navy and the British Royal Navy, where it was initially known as the Martlet. First used by the British in the North Atlantic, the Wildcat was the only effective fighter available to the United States Navy and Marine Corps in the Pacific Theater during the early part of the Second World War. The disappointing Brewster Buffalo was withdrawn in favor of the Wildcat and replaced as aircraft became available. With a top speed of 318 mph, the Wildcat was outperformed by the faster 331 mph, more maneuverable, and longer-range Mitsubishi S6M0. U.S. Navy pilots, including John Jimmy Thach, a pioneer of fighter tactics to deal with S6M0, were greatly dissatisfied with the Wildcat's inferior performance against the Zero in the battles of the Coral Sea and Midway. The Wildcat has a claimed air combat kill-to-loss ratio of 5.9 to 1 in 1942 and 6.9 to 1 for the entire war. Lessons learned from the Wildcat were later applied to the faster F4F Hellcat. While the Wildcat had better range and maneuverability at low speed, the Hellcat could rely on superior power and high-speed performance to outperform the Zero. Wildcat production continued throughout the remainder of the war, with Wildcats serving on escort carriers, where the larger and much heavier Hellcat could not be used. Even before the Wildcat had been purchased by the U.S. Navy, the French Navy and the Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm FAA had ordered the Wildcat, with their own configurations, by the Anglo-French Purchasing Board, Royal Navy. The F4F, initially known in British service as the Martlet, was taken on by the FAA as an interim replacement for the Ferry Fulmar. The Fulmar was a two-seat fighter with good range but operated at performance disadvantage against single-seater fighters. Navalized Supermarine Spitfires were not available because of the greater need of the Royal Air Force. In the European theater, his first combat victory was on Christmas Day 1940, when a land-based Martlet destroyed a Junkers Ju-88 bomber over the Scapa Flow Naval Base. This was the first combat victory by a U.S.-built fighter in British service in World War II. The type also pioneered combat operations from the smaller escort carriers. 6 Martlets went to sea aboard the converted former German merchant vessel HMS Audacity in September 1941 and shot down several Luftwaffe FW-200 Condor bombers during highly effective convoy escort operations. These were the first of many Wildcats to engage in aerial combat at sea, including convoy HG-76 to Gibraltar in December 1941. The British received 300 Eastern aircraft FM-1s, giving them the designation Martlet V in 1942, 43 and 340 FM-2s, having changed to using the same name as the U.S. as the Wildcat VI. Nearly 1,200 Wildcats were flown by the FAA, and by January 1944, the Martlet name was dropped and the type was identified as the Wildcat. In March 1945, Wildcats shot down 4 Messerschmitt Bf-109 seconds over Norway, the FAA's last Wildcat victories. I would still assess the Wildcat as the outstanding naval fighter of the early years of World War II. The last air raid of the war in Europe was 846, carried out by Fleet Air Arm aircraft in Operation Judgment on May 5, 1945. 28 Wildcat VI aircraft from 853 and 882 Naval Air Squadron took part in an attack on a U-boat depot near Harstad, Norway. 2 ships and a U-boat were sunk with the loss of 1 Wildcat and 1 Grumman Avenger torpedo bout. Totals. In all, 7,860 Wildcats were built. During the course of the war, Navy and Marine F4Fs and FMs flew 15,553 combat sorties, 14,027 of these from aircraft carriers, destroying a claimed figure of 1,327 enemy aircraft at a cost of 178 aerial losses. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.